Greetings of the day, dear students, parents and teachers, if you happen to be watching. Welcome to Bangla Shikha Classroom, an endeavor of Paschim Bongo Samogra Shikha Mission, Department of School Education, Government of West Bengal. I am Dr. Ivy Sarkar, Headmistress, Srirampur Girls' High School. Today, the lesson that I am going to impart is for class 11 students. Topic is the poem Still I Rise by Maya Angelou. Now, this poem Still I Rise by Maya Angelou is a famous poem, renowned poem, and Maya Angelou was a phenomenal poet. She was a phenomenal lady. So before we start going through the lines of the poem, we need to know about her life. We need to know about her career. We need to know about her struggles. We need to know about her confidence because the poem is largely autobiographical. She was a black woman. She was an Afro-American poet. So let us first know Maya Angelou, who she was. Her name was Margarita Annie Johnson. In 1928, she was born in St. Louis, Missouri. At a very early age, when she was only 3 years old, her parents got divorced. They were separated and she went to live with her grandmother at Stamps, Arkansas, along with her brother. Now, her grandmother, Annie Henderson, she had great influence on Maya. After some days, she was molested by her mother's boyfriend. And she told this to her brother. After a few days, that man who attacked or molested Maya was found to be dead. This entire episode shocked Maya. And she did not speak for 5.5 years. She did not speak. Not that she did not have voice. She did not have voice. She had voice. She could speak, but she refused to speak. Then after 5.5 years, it was again her teacher's influence on her. Her teacher, one of her teachers, she convinced her to speak. But during this period of her silence, she was a keen observer. She observed everything. And she developed a love for literature. She read a lot. But Maya's life was altogether full of struggles and problems and adversities. Now, afterwards, Maya joined her mother in San Francisco along with her brother because she got a scholarship for dance and drama. Then, in her later life, what we find is that Maya Angelou, this is in the youth and adulthood period I'm telling, that she was the first African-American cable car or street car operator. First woman, San Francisco, first African-American cable car operator. She married, first time in 1951, she married a Greek sailor, Tos Angelos. She gave birth to a son named Guy. But this marriage, unfortunately, did not last. So she, along with her son Guy, moved on. She struggled a lot to support herself and her son. She worked as a waitress, a clerk. She started singing in operas. In 1960s, she got married for the second time to Vusumuzi Beke, South African freedom fighter. But this marriage too was proved to be futile. Then she married Paul Defoe, a British writer and cartoonist. In 1973, they moved to different places, Europe, Cairo, different places. But again in 1980s, she got divorced. So what we are trying to, what we have seen is this, that she had a pathetic life. Means, so far as her family life is concerned, she met with so much of devastations. Not only this, being black, being an Afro-American, she was subjected to oppression. She witnessed various oppression from the white oppressors, the white Britishers. She saw how her ancestors were subjugated, humiliated, and how the black women were seen with neglect, with humiliation, how they are sarcastically dealt with. So this is what she had seen all through her life during her growing period. But nothing could deter her spirit. Nothing could stop her. She was an unstoppable force, Maya Angelou. In 1960s, she joined Harlem Writers Guild. She developed love for literature, and during this time, she met Martin Luther King Jr. and Malcolm X. She joined the civil rights movement against the oppression of the black. So she advocated for social justice. So on one hand, she was writing, she was a writer, and she published various books. She was a singer, she was a dancer, she was an author, and she was a social rights activist. If we look at her career and her awards, she became professor at Wake Forest University. So the lady who started her career as a cable car operator, she ultimately was a professor at Wake Forest University. And even during this time, she managed to act in the films. She housed various radio shows. She gained fame as a singer, as a dancer, an actor, poet, social activist, and she was an eloquent public speaker. She won many Grammy Awards. In 1993, she was the one who was chosen for reciting on the pulse of morning at President Bill Clinton's oath ceremony. So you can imagine, she was reciting at President Bill Clinton's oath ceremony. In 2010, in America, the highest civilian award, that is Presidential Medal of Freedom, that was awarded to her by Barack Obama. So here you can see in the picture, Barack Obama. He is awarding Maya Angelou with the Presidential Medal of Freedom. On 28th of May 2014, she breathed her last, and indeed, I would say she is a phenomenal woman. She was a woman who had a voice, who spoke for her race, who spoke for her gender, who spoke for her race. And if we now go through the poem, we will find that this poem is an anthem of strength. This is an ode to strength and resilience. So to sum up what we have seen or what we have learned about Maya Angelou, so Maya Angelou, she had a terrifying, full of adversity kind of early life. She was molested by her mother's boyfriend at a very early age. She did not speak for several years. She did not utter a word for several years. And then her marriage life was also very devastating. She married thrice, but all of those marriages were futile. She had to struggle a lot to support her son, but she never left her career. She never left her studies. So she worked as a cable car operator. We have seen in the last slide, this is the cable car. So in San Francisco, she worked as a waitress, as a clerk, she sang songs in operas. So this is the way she struggled. But nothing could stop her. She is an unstoppable force. And she spoke for her class, she spoke for her race, she spoke for her gender. And here we are going to say this. So now we are going to the first stanza, Still I Rise by Maya Angelou. This poem was published in 1978 by Random House. So she says, you may write me down in history with your bitter twisted lies. You may trod me in the dirt, but still like dust I'll rise. So you may, who is this you? It is given in green color. You can see the annotations. You means the white oppressors, the Britishers, you. So you may write me down in history. So she means to say that history is full of misrepresentation and false narratives about the African Americans. So, because at that time slavery was practiced. So, Africans were considered to be destined slaves. They were used as slaves. So, Maya Angelou addresses the white oppressors and says that you may write me down in history. So, you can write me, it's the first personal pronoun, but me also refers to us, we the blacks. You may write me down in history. So in history, you may represent us. You may categorize us as a class of slaves. You may misrepresent us with your bitter, twisted lies. So bitter and twisted means with painful, distorted lies. You may trod me in the dirt. Trod me means stamp. With legs, with a foot, we can step on something, we may trod. You may trod me in the dust, in the dirt. But still, like dust, I'll rise. So the third line points out that the African Americans, they are clearly telling through Maya Angelou that they cannot be oppressed. The white oppressors, they may try to trod the African Americans in the dirt. They may try to trod them, crush them in the dirt. But what happens? When we are trod in the dust, what happens? See, how is the dust? Dust is like a small white powdery, small sandy powdery particles, dust, isn't it? So if somebody is trod in the dirt, then what happens? It becomes very powdery, like dust, but dust, what happens? When there is air, the dust rises. So Maya Angelou says to her white oppressors, you may trod me in the dirt, but even then, like dust, I will rise. So nothing can take away her spirit. So this is a clear challenge to her white oppressors. She says that you may write me down in history, you may represent me falsely, write wrong narratives about me, you may attack me with your bitter and twisted lies, you may stamp me and trod me in the dirt, but even if you do so, like dust, just as dust rises in the air, similarly, I will rise. You cannot stop my growth. So here also we can see her spirit. These lines point out Maya's confidence, Maya's strength, her self-assurance, her feeling of self-importance. So tremendous confidence she had. Nothing could deter her. This is what she has been telling. Now, in the last line of this stanza 1, we have a simile. There are many figures of speeches in English. Figures of speeches, they are called the ornamentation in English. But still like dust. Now, I will tell you about one figure of speech, literary device, that is simile. It is marked in blue. It is called simile. Like, what is simile? I think by this time you know what is simile, but still if you do not know, I would like to repeat what is a simile. Simile is a comparison. There are two types of literary devices regarding comparison. One is simile, another one is metaphor. What is simile? Simile is a comparison between two different things. It is a clear comparison between two different things. Suppose I tell this girl is like a rose. So I am comparing this girl to a rose. Now when I am comparing this girl to a rose, these two are two different things, and the comparison is clear by the use of the word like a rose. So like, this word like or as, they can make the comparison clear. So whenever there is a clear comparison between two different objects by use of words like, as, etc., that is called simile. So here, but like dust, I'll rise. So Maya Angelou compares herself to dust. So just as dust rises, similarly, even if you trod me down in the dirt, if you think that you would subjugate me, humiliate me, just pull me down to the dirt, even like dust, I'll rise. So she compares herself to dust. So here we have a simile because here Maya Angelou has compared herself to dust, and this comparison is clear by the use of the word like. Now, as I told you, let me mention it here itself. There is another kind of comparison called metaphor. Now, metaphor is also a comparison between two different things, but that is indirect comparison. That means we don't have like, as there. That is indirect comparison. For example, if I say she is a fox, I did not say she is like a fox, or she is cunning as a fox, or she is clever as a fox. I simply said she is a fox. That means I might mean she is as cunning as a fox, or she is as clever as a fox. But what I exactly mean, I am not stating. So this is indirect. This is implied. Such indirect comparison are called metaphor, where there is no clear comparison, no like, no as in between. So in this stanza, in the last line we have a simile and not metaphor. So, but still like dust I rise, where Maya Angelou compares herself to dust and expresses her strength of will and says that her determination is not to be suppressed by any kind of oppression, but she would always rise. Coming to the next stanza. Now, very sarcastically, she points out and she tells to her viewers, her haters, her critics, and the white oppressors, does my sassiness upset you? So her tone is very sarcastic. Her tone is sarcastic, and this shows that some people are upset and hateful when they see her happy, because sassiness points out her confidence, her boldness. She is very confident, she is very bold. And when she is very bold and when she is very confident, that makes some people unnerved, that unnerves some people. Some people are upset. Oh my goodness, this lady had so much of pain, she is having so much of trouble, but still she is confident. How is it? So they are upset because no amount of pressure is able to pressurize Maya. However pressure you put on her, she is not pressurized. Actually, about Maya, I think you know, dear students, that Maya Angelou was a lady. She was comfortable even in uncomfortable situation. She could make herself comfortable. She was always accustomed. She was comfortable in uncomfortable situation. She was very comfortable, and that is the mantra of her success. And And that is the reason that her haters, her critics, they were surprised. They were upset that how could this lady be so confident? How could this lady be so bold? How could this lady be so happy? Because she has so much of trouble, she is a black woman, she has nothing so attractive. So why? So Maya Angelou ridicules them and says, does my sassiness upset you? Actually, Maya Angelou believes that yes, her sassiness, her boldness upset her haters. So, in the question, the answer is implied. And when in the question, the answer is implied, means we can understand the answer in the question, that question is called rhetorical question. I have given it at the end of the slide. That type of devices is called rhetorical question. So, in the question, if you can find the answer within the question, if you can find that yes, within the question the answer can be understood, the answer is already meant, the answer is already implied, then that is rhetorical question. So when Maya Angelou says, does my sassiness upset you? She actually means that yes, her sassiness upsets her, upsets others. Her sassiness upset others. Why are you beset with gloom? Covered. Beset means covered. Gloom means sadness, despair, unhappiness. So she says, I am confident, I am happy, I am bold, I am like an unstoppable figure. My spirits are always high. I know how to overcome my problems and struggles. But does my sassiness upset you? Because I can see you very gloomy. Why are you beset with gloom? Why are you beset with gloom? Beset means you are covered with gloom, you sadness. Why are you so sad? Cause I walk like I have got oil wells pumping in my living room. Cause I walk. Cause means because. Because, why are you so gloomy? Why are you so sad? Because I walk like I have got oil wells. Because what Maya means to say is that she had tremendous or extreme confidence. And so whenever she walked with extreme confidence, and her manner of walking, which is called gait, G-A-I-T, gait, was like that of a oil businessman, oil tycoon. So she walked as if she was the owner of oil wells, as if oil wells were pumping in her living room. She was so rich. She walked with such confidence. Now, truly, she did not have oil wells. Truly, there was no oil well pumping in her living room, but her manner, her attitude was such that she had oil wells pumping in her living room. So that was her confidence, that was her extreme confidence. So she says, because my manner of walking, cause I walk like, so because my manner of walking is with so much of confidence, as if I have oil wells pumping in my living room. So does this make you upset? Does this cover you with gloom, despair? Actually, you cannot tolerate my happiness. You cannot tolerate my confidence. You have always tried to see me down. You have always tried to see me suppressed, subjugated. So that is the reason you might be upset. So now here in this line, in the first two lines, Maya Angelou's tone is very, very sarcastic, and she sarcastically ridicules, criticizes, taunts her oppressors, the racist, her haters. Even in the society also she was subject to various oppressions. So in the first two lines, she deals with them, challenges them sarcastically. And in the last two lines points out her strength, her resilience, her self-empowered feelings, her determination, her joy, happiness, and her spirit of freedom. So she walked as if she had oil wells pumping in her living room. So compare, children, if you reflect, sometimes when we have many things, but we are gloomy. We regret, we did not have this, we don't have this, we don't have that, we regret. So we are depressed. But Maya Angelou, she walked with such confidence all the time that people would think she had oil wells. She's an oil merchant, she's an oil tycoon, business women, just pumping in her living room. So that was her attitude. Now, in the last two lines, again we have there is a literary device. Now you can you identify the literary device? Cause I walk like I have got oil wells pumping in my living room. So in the points to remember, I have given literary device. I have not mentioned the literary device, but there is a literary device in the last two lines. Can you identify it? Yes. So those who have guessed it right, it is right. That is, it is a simile. Because here Maya Angelou compares herself to an oil merchant. So her manner of walking is like that of the manner of walking of an oil merchant. So this is the comparison, and the comparison is clear by the use of the word like. So this is an instance of simile. Now let us move to the third stanza. Just like moons and like suns, with the certainty of tides, just like hopes springing high, still I'll rise. This is the spirit of Maya. The lines are very colloquial. It has the lines are lucid, very simple, lucid, conversational, but with such force. Just like moons and like suns, with the certainty of tides. So she says, see, moon, rising of the moon or the rising of the sun, this is universal, this is inevitable, this is sure to happen. Similarly, formation of tides, that is also universal, that is also natural, that is also sure to take place. So Maya here, by bringing in she has brought in the natural images, moon, sun, tides. So by bringing in the natural images, she tries to establish that just like rising of moon and sun, just like formation of tides are very natural processes, they have a universal appeal and they cannot be avoided. Similarly, her hopes, her dreams, her spirit cannot be curbed. They cannot be suppressed. They cannot be defeated. They are springing high and higher and higher. She will rise. So she will rise in spite of oppression, in spite of challenges, in spite of adversities, in spite of problems, in spite of exploitation, in spite of criticism, in spite of hateful words, that bitter, twisted lies, whatever it is. But she will not be dispirited. She will not be discouraged. She'll rise. She will rise. She will rise. Now, so here, if you can just reflect, now in the first line we find moons and suns. Now moon and sun, instead of that, moons and suns, that means this has been used in plural. Plural forms have been used. Actually, this use of the plural forms add universality and expands the scope beyond just one moon or sun, suggesting that it can be applied to anyone facing similar adversity and challenges. So like moons and like suns, actually this plural forms is expanding the scope. And here Maya is not only representing herself, Maya is advocating for her race. She is speaking for all the black men and women, and she is also speaking for her gender. So, the painful history, the torment that the Afro-Americans had encountered or faced before, that is represented by Maya herself. That means Maya, so they were with hopes that they would rise from that position and they would be free of oppression, they would find freedom. So Maya represents their hopes and their dreams. And she is advocating social justice. I told you earlier that Maya was involved with the social rights movement. So she was very much advocating social justice for her race and for her gender and also for the black women, for her color. So plurality, the use of plural words, moons and suns, actually expands the scope of universality and trying to point out not only one but all the natural elements and all men and women who belong to the Afro-American race. So this is it. Now let us see points to remember. Lines 1 and 2. Maya is like the moon and the sun, the rise of which are as inevitable it should be, as the rise of ocean tides. Moons, suns and tides are celestial imagery that shows her love for herself, her heritage and her skin color that is natural. So again, there is another point I would point out. See, she compares herself to moon, sun and tides. And I told you earlier that just like rising of the moon and the sun is inevitable, it cannot be avoided. This is a natural phenomena. Rising of moon, rising of sun, formation of tides. Similarly, the rise of the black people, the rise of their hopes, the fulfillment of their dreams will be inevitable. This is what Maya stresses. This is what Maya stresses. At the same time, there is another angle. She compares herself to the natural phenomena, the natural occurrences. She's like the moon, she's like the sun that comes, that is certain, that is sure to come, that is sure to rise, tides are sure to form. So these are natural phenomena and these are celestial objects. Sun and moon are celestial, heavenly objects. So by bringing in these heavenly objects, Maya tries to assert, she tries to assert strongly that she loves herself, she loves her race, she loves her gender, she loves her heritage, she loves her legacy, she loves her black skin color. Why? Because that is also natural, that is also celestial. She is like the moon, like the sun. That means she doesn't hate herself, she loves herself. Because she compares herself and her race and gender to celestial or heavenly objects, which shows her love for her own self, which is very, very important. You have to love yourself. We need to have a good self-esteem. We need to self-assure ourselves. If you don't love yourself, how can you love others? So you need to be in love with whatever you have. So by using the celestial objects, moon and sun and tides, Maya actually shows her love for herself. She values her identity. She values her identity. And she makes it clear. Just like high escalating hopes, she will keep rising. Our hopes always rise, we hope to get a car, we hope to get a house, we hope to get good jobs, we hope to do very good in exams. So our hopes keep rising. Similarly, Maya's hopes also is that she will keep rising. She will rise in spite of any adversity that she might have to face. She refuses to be broken. She refuses to be subjugated. She refuses to be defeated. Now, in these 4 lines, what literary devices do we have? Now see, like moons, like suns, like hopes. Like is there, so we have simile. She compares herself to moon, to sun, the celestial object. Just as moon and sun, they are inevitable, they are certain. Similarly, her hopes, her dreams will surely rise. She is also certain about it. So this is a simile or comparison. There is another literary device, alliteration. You can see there, alliteration. Now, alliteration in the point number 2, literary devices, point number 2, alliteration, hopes springing high. Now, in the 3rd line of the stanza, hopes springing high, see the word H, hopes springing high. When a consonant sound is repeated in a sequence, that is called alliteration. Furrow followed free, FFF. Vini, Vidi, Visi, that is alliteration. Here also hope springing high. So here in this phrase we have alliteration because H, see high, that we have this consonant sound repeated in a sequence. So here is alliteration. And the entire stanza highlights celebration of dignity in the face of oppression. So oppression will come. There will be various difficulties, adversities, oppression that will be there. The way the white people oppressed and subjugated the black Afro-American, this is what Maya says. And not only that, the society also put much hurdles in the path of Maya's career. The society was also there. The white people were there. Her haters and critics were there. But she did not lose her mental will, she did not lose her hope, she did not lose her strength, she did not lose her determination. So she always celebrated dignity. And with dignity, she moved on to success. So we'll continue in the next part. And before I conclude this phase, what reminds me about reading these lines from Maya Angelou is that if we focus on problems, we forget our goals. There will be various problems, but if we focus on problems, we shall forget our goal. But if we focus on our goal, we'll forget our problems. So with this note, I'll end this session today. Good day.